Thompson, and welcome back for this week's episode of Inside the Spartans, where we take a look at all things inside Spartan sports. Let's start off with our men's basketball team. Once again, they just keep on rolling through their schedule with another undefeated week, which featured a ranked win and them clinching the EPAC championship. Starting off, the Spartans slayed the Roadrunners of Gloucester on Thursday, 67-54. Behind Tyrese Fuller's 18 points and CJ Miles' 14 points, the Spartans were in control from start to finish, and the win moved the Spartans to 3-1 against ranked opponents on the season. But that wasn't the end of CJ Miles. He would pop off again on Saturday, having 20 points with a dominant win over arch-rival Philadelphia. Mike Maribel also had an impressive game, putting up 15 points and 8 rebounds in the 84-57 victory. That win secured the Spartans the EPAC championship for the first time since 2020. The Spartans would then close out EPAC play with an undefeated record of 12-0, with a 102-59 win over the Phantoms of Delaware County, which was led by both Mike Maribel and Keenan Roberts, double-doubles. The Spartans then head into their final matchup of the regular season on Saturday against Middlesex. This is a must-win game for the Spartans, as the Jersey Blues, who also had another undefeated week, are still on their tail in their fight for that number one seed in the region playoffs. Now let's switch over to the women's basketball team. And wow, they started off the week with a bang, with an upset road win over region number one seed and 13th ranked Gloucester. Zoe Cruz led the way with the scoring with 14 points, but the Spartans couldn't have done it without Elena Day's clutch free throws in the final seconds. And the performance by those two and many other on the Spartans helped lead the Spartans to the 1-point victory against the Roadrunners. After the victory, I had a chance to catch up with Coach Baumar and talk to him about the upset and the season so far. I'm joined by Coach Baumar. Coach Baumar, first off, thank you for joining me today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
So let's get right into it. After a tough first semester, you guys started off 6-5. You guys have really turned around since the break. You guys are 10-1 since then. What has been the biggest difference for you guys?
The beginning of the season, there's a couple factors. We started off on the road, which is tough, which can be tough. Last year, we were in an interesting situation where 95% of our games were home games.
Yeah.
So it's a learning curve for our girls who were returning players. We expected, you could have some type of expectations to compare. Like, this is going to be like last year, and you can't make those expectations or assume. And also the factor I think was a big factor. Last year we had a core set of girls. It was year one. We brought in new girls, so we have some freshmen and sophomores this year. And trying to find that chemistry, trying to find who works with who, that took some time. That really did. There were some games. We had lost to Broome by 3 points. Just some growing pains that we had to go through in the first half. And we played some tough teams. Prince George won their region last year. They're probably on the run to win their region again. Harcum's only lost like one game all season. You know. Those were good games for us, and I think they helped us get in the second half to be stronger and more competitive.
So taking back to one of your tougher games you've had this semester, Gloucester the other day, it was a great road upset for you guys. How does a win like that affect your team going forward?
Well, it definitely boosts our morale. Our girls, the feeling that I get from our team is that they were very hungry to play against the number one seed and to compete against the number one seed. And see where they stand, so that puts us in the driver's seat, and it helps us believe. But right now, it's one of those things you're trying to balance, not being confident enough and not being overconfident. Now that you've accomplished something, it's that balance of being competitive and level-headed as we head into the playoffs, and that's what I keep preaching to them.
So obviously a win of that magnitude, it really affects you. It can really have an impact on your seed come playoff time. Obviously before that game, it was, you're probably going to get a home playoff game. You're looking at like a 4 seed maybe. But now after that win, you guys are not only looking at probably a 2 or 3 seed, but even a 1 seed. How does that impact your game plan come playoff time?
Well, it helps. It helps with home court advantage. It's such a pleasure to be at home in front of your fans, in front of faculty, and being able to play a playoff game. We were able to get that experience last year. We were right there, to win a game, and we want that. Anything that's going to help us, boost the morale, and get our girls going. Getting home court advantage is definitely a plus for us.
So talking about one of the home playoff games last year, I know we talked about it a little bit before this.
Yeah.
Last year was a very, very tough, close loss against Brookdale.
Yeah, it took me a whole summer to watch.
Yeah.
to watch the tape.
Does that add an extra layer of motivation for your team? And is there any part of you that wants to play Brookdale again in that spot?
I hope it does for them. I want to believe that it does. When you're that close and you could just touch it, you can almost touch it, and you don't get it. We hope it inspires them to wanna go back at it, dust themselves off, and go right back at it. But in the same scheme of things, we're trying to also prepare them to. We got to be ready to play whoever. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be Brookdale. It could be anybody. We have to be ready and sharp. The things that I like about our team is that we have, we don't have to rely on one girl to get it done. Our strength is in our numbers. Madison, even though Madison comes off the bench, Madison could start for us any night. When Kanaya was on last night, if she's on like that, we're hard to beat. Elena's been a leader since day one. Shania helps us with minutes off the bench. Zoe Cruz was Player of the Week this week. We get it from everywhere, and I think that's what helps us the most.
Adding another question I want to ask, is based off of what you said. This year it seems like you guys have more depth than last season. Do you think that'll be a much bigger factor come the postseason?
Absolutely. I'm hoping so. I think cheers to our coaching staff, and our program for being able to keep our girls intact from the fall to the spring. Hopefully that pays off. Hopefully that pays off. Where we're just in the right position. And we've got the right amount of reps, and it's just that right timing. One of the things I've learned about these things in my experience, even being an assistant coach, is that it's timing. Sometimes it's you just being in the right place at the right time and just being ready to go. So that's why we can't really we can speculate about matchups and who we can play or not play, but it's just being ready to go when your name's called.
All right. Well, thank you for joining me, and best of luck in the postseason.
It's always a pleasure, man.
Thanks again to Coach Bomar for joining me, and I can tell him and his team are completely ready and dialed in for the postseason. The women's team then closed out the week with a dominant win over Philadelphia. This helped them secure the outright EPAC title for the second consecutive season. This would follow up by a 1-point thrilling home win over the Knights of Central Penn. Kanaya Day led the way for the Spartans on Tuesday night, getting another double-double. And the women also closed out their regular season on Saturday against Middlesex. And congratulations to both the men's and the women's team on clinching outright EPAC championships. This is the first time that both our men's and women's team are outright EPAC champions since the 2012-2013 season a decade ago. But up for this week's episode of Inside the Spartans. Make sure you check out our Instagram and TikTok to stay updated with all things Spartan sports, and subscribe to our YouTube for our next episode. As always, I'm Cole Thompson. Swords up.